Selwyn Cobbo lay motionless on the ground, and Jarome Luai stood over him, celebrating. What looked like a brutal knockout on live television was actually the boiling point of something far more dangerous. This wasn't just football. This was personal. The state of origin, the most intense rivalry in rugby league. New South Wales versus Queensland, blue versus maroon. But on that night, under the lights, it became Jarome Luai versus Selwyn Cobbo. And what happened next would spark one of the most controversial moments in recent Origin history. The footage went viral within minutes. Cobbo unconscious, Luai standing tall. Social media exploded. Fans were outraged. Commentators were divided. But here's what nobody told you. What you saw on your screen was only half the story. Let's talk about who these players really are, because understanding them is understanding why this happened. Selwyn Cobbo, 22 years old, Brisbane Broncos winger, Queensland's rising star, explosive speed, raw power, the kind of player who can change a game in seconds. He's fearless, sometimes reckless, and plays every game like it's his last. Cobbo doesn't back down from anyone, and that attitude has made him a fan favorite. But it's also put a target on his back. Then there's Jarome Luai, the New South Wales playmaker, Penrith Panthers premiership winner. Known for his skill, yes, but more famous for his attitude. Luai thrives on getting under opponents' skin. He talks, he taunts, he celebrates hard. Some call it confidence, others call it arrogance, but one thing's certain, Luai knows exactly how to make his opponents lose their cool. So, when you put these two personalities on the same field in the pressure cooker that is state of origin, something was bound to explode. This wasn't a one-moment flash of violence. This was tension that had been simmering for weeks, maybe longer. Cobbo and Luai had crossed paths before. Previous Origin matches, club games. Every time they were near each other, there was an edge, a push here, a word there. Nothing that made headlines, but enough that players noticed, enough that teammates had to step in. In the lead-up to this particular Origin game, the media was already fueling the fire. Interviews where Luai was asked about Queensland's young guns. His responses? Dismissive, cocky. He didn't mention Cobbo by name, but everyone knew who he was talking about. Cobbo, in his own interviews, stayed quiet, but those who know him say that's when he's most dangerous. When he goes silent, when he stops talking, that's when he's planning something. So, the stage was set. Game 2 of the State of Origin series. The score was tight, the intensity was suffocating, and both players were locked in. It happened in the 73rd minute. Queensland had possession. Cobbo received the ball on the wing, accelerating down the sideline. He was fast, too fast for most defenders, but Luai read the play perfectly. He came across in cover defense, and what happened next? Well, it depends on who you ask. The official report says it was a legal tackle. Luai went low, wrapped Cobbo's legs, and brought him down hard. Very hard. Cobbo's head hit the turf with a sickening thud. The sound echoed through the stadium. Play stopped immediately. Medical staff rushed onto the field. Cobbo wasn't moving. His teammates surrounded him, concern written all over their faces. The crowd went silent. That horrible, heavy silence that only comes when something serious happens. But here's where it gets controversial. As medical staff attended to Cobbo, as his teammates knelt beside him, Jarome Luai stood a few meters away, and he was pumped, arms raised, yelling, celebrating. To some, it looked like he was celebrating the tackle, celebrating the fact that Cobbo was hurt. The backlash was instant. Fans on social media called him classless. Commentators questioned his sportsmanship. Queensland legends labeled it a disgraceful. But Luai and the New South Wales camp told a completely different story. Here's what the cameras didn't clearly show, and what most people still don't know. According to players on the field, Cobbo and Luai had been going at each other all game. Not just physical contact, but verbal warfare. Every tackle, every play stoppage, words were being exchanged. Harsh words, personal words. In the minutes before the knockout tackle, there was a scuffle during a play the ball. Cobbo allegedly said something to Luai, something about his family, something that crossed the line. Luai's response? "I'll make you pay for that." So, when Luai made that tackle, when Cobbo hit the ground hard, Luai's celebration wasn't about the injury. According to him, it was about winning the battle, about shutting down someone who'd been trying to get under his skin all night. But here's the problem. Intent doesn't matter when someone's lying unconscious on the field. Optics don't care about context, and in that moment, Luai looked like the villain. Selwyn Cobbo was carried off the field, concussion protocols. He didn't return to the game. Queensland lost by 6 points.
After the match, Cobbo was asked about the incident. His response was measured, but you could hear the anger underneath. It's Origin. Things get heated, but there's a line. When someone's down, you don't celebrate. That's not footy. That's not respect. He refused to elaborate on what was said during the game, but those close to him revealed that Cobbo felt disrespected not just by Luai, but by the lack of accountability afterwards. No apology, no acknowledgement, just excuses. Brisbane Broncos fans rallied behind him. Queensland legends like Darren Lockyer and Jonathan Thurston weighed in, calling for players to show more respect in these moments. But New South Wales fans? They defended Luai. They said Cobbo was too soft, that this is Origin, that if you can't handle the heat, don't step on the field. The rugby league community was split right down the middle. The NRL Match Review Committee investigated the tackle. Their verdict? No foul play. Luai was cleared. The tackle was legal. Case closed. But the court of public opinion? That was a different story. Luai's social media was flooded with hate messages, death threats, people calling him a thug, a coward, a disgrace to the game. He eventually disabled comments on his posts. Meanwhile, Cobbo became a symbol, a martyr for those who felt the game was becoming too brutal, too personal. Documentaries and sports shows dissected the moment frame by frame. Was this the future of Origin? Was this what we wanted the game to become? Behind the scenes, there were reports of tension between the two camps. Queensland players allegedly vowed payback in the next match. New South Wales players rallied around Luai, saying he did nothing wrong. The rivalry intensified, the hatred deepened, and the next time these two teams faced each other, you could feel it. Every tackle was harder, every word was sharper. The referees were on high alert, knowing that one spark could ignite a full-scale brawl. This incident exposed something bigger than just two players clashing. It exposed the fine line between competitive fire and dangerous recklessness. It raised questions about player safety, about sportsmanship, about how far is too far in the name of winning. Some argue that this is what makes Origin special, the intensity, the hatred, the willingness to go to war for your state. Without that edge, it's just another football game. Others argue that we're glorifying violence, that celebrating while someone's unconscious sends the wrong message to young players watching at home. Both sides have a point. So, was Jarome Luai a villain that night? Or was he just a competitor caught in a moment that looked worse than it was? Was Selwyn Cobbo a victim? Or was he a player who engaged in the mind games and paid the price? The truth, as always, is somewhere in the middle. This wasn't black and white. It was messy, emotional, and raw, just like State of Origin should be. One thing's for sure, this feud isn't over. These two will cross paths again, and when they do, the whole rugby league world will be watching. If you want more stories behind the biggest rivalries, the hidden tensions, and the moments that define the game, hit that subscribe button right now on Aussie NRL Updates. We bring you the truth behind the headlines. Don't miss out.